How are 29 players drafted before Jimmy Butler in the 2011 NBA draft? Now, obviously this draft ended up being pretty decent overall. I mean, you had Kyrie Irving, Tristan Thompson, Jonas Valanciunas, Bismack Biyombo, Kemba Walker, Klay Thompson was in this draft as well. You had the Morris twins, Kawhi Leonard, Nikola Vucevic, Tobias Harris. There were quite a bit of talented players and all-stars in this draft, but still, looking back in hindsight, man, it is crazy to think that Jimmy Butler was drafted just 29th. He's taken the Heat to 2 finals over the past 4 to 5 years. He's been one of the premier superstars in this league now for, I would say, probably close to a decade. And now he's obviously on the Golden State Warriors, been talking about him a lot more on this channel, and has a chance to win a championship with Steph Curry. It would be Jimmy's first championship. Obviously, that's what he's chasing. Didn't feel like he could do it with the Heat, and the Warriors were able to extend him. And now, I think they got a real shot at winning the championship this year. But yeah, it's just still wild to think that Jimmy Butler was drafted 29th. At the same time, though, coming to the NBA, Jimmy Butler was seen as more of kind of a defensive guard slash wing. If I'm not mistaken, there were questions about, his ability to develop an offensive game, but he just improved year over year with the Chicago Bulls, quickly becoming, most improved player, an all-star, then eventually, was also an all-star with Minnesota, then got traded to the Sixers, then, kind of found a home with the Heat here for the past 5 years, and now is with the Warriors. But yeah, Jimmy Butler has continued to improve his offensive game, one of the most competitive players in the league. And, he said it, right? Like, all he wants to do is win basketball games. And, he's been in the finals a couple times, but, he's getting up there in age, right? He's 35. This is his 14th season. He's looking to win a championship this year with Steph Curry. But Jimmy, he's played pretty well since coming to the Warriors. Now, his scoring numbers don't really jump out, and he is only shooting 20% from 3. But man, his playmaking, his defense, his ability to get the free throw line, that has really elevated this Warriors team. Not only defensively, which, they've been a top 10 defense all year, but offensively. And still, 3-point shooting with the Warriors since the Jimmy trade hasn't been, great, but just the pace and the playmaking that just Jimmy plays with, just his IQ, he's just a great connector piece with this Warriors team. And obviously, we hope to see playoff Jimmy, right, where he can hopefully score 23 to 25 a game in the playoffs. That would be great as a secondary scorer next to Steph. But for right now, man, he's just trying to fit in with this team with his playmaking, the free throw shooting, just trying to be, like I said, just that connector piece and that glue guy for this Warriors team right now. But yeah, since he's joined the Warriors, 17.6 points per game, 45.6% from the field, 5.7 rebounds, 5.7 assists with 1.3 steals, and he has a plus minus of plus 7.7. So he just had a massive impact when he's been on the court. And here's the thing, right? The Warriors were hovering around, the 9th and 10th seed. They were really struggling offensively. They couldn't win in close games. It kind of kept blowing leads. It was very similar to how they played for about half of last season when they went about 19 and 24 to start the season and then ended off on a 26-11 run. This season was kind of looking very similar to that. And Jimmy has really, really elevated this roster. Especially the playmaking and really, all the attention he commands as well. Steph is not going to see as many double teams because, I think teams now know, right? If they double team Steph, you're going to leave a superstar scorer in Jimmy Butler wide open, to get his own one-on-one, which obviously we know Jimmy can do, right? He's a master in the mid-range. He can get to the free throw line, really good at attacking the rim. Of course, his three-point shot's been a bit shaky during the regular season, but we know he turns it up in the playoffs. And so I'm really looking forward to watching how Jimmy plays in his first playoff run with the Dubs. How many points is he going to score? Is he going to play like he is right now? But really, I have no doubt that playoff Jimmy, will come alive. And I do think he will average at least 20 points per game in the playoffs and be that secondary scorer that the Warriors need next to Steph in the playoffs to hopefully make a deep run and potentially win a championship. You just never know. And sometimes these midseason trades can prompt teams to a finals appearance or a championship, right? We saw it with the Toronto Raptors in 2019 when they made a midseason trade for Marc Gasol. Even the Mavericks last year trading for PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford, propelling them to a finals appearance. So these midseason trades can oftentimes have a major effect. And so obviously as Warriors fans, right, we're hoping for that same thing with Jimmy Butler. But now the Warriors, they're able to keep leads. They're winning more close games while retaining their top 10 defense. That's the key thing. And the shooting, it's been overall better, right? The 3-point shooting, right, hasn't been necessarily elite, but the Warriors are playing with more pace. Steph has been playing really well, shooting the ball great as of late despite having a thumb injury, and Warriors are looking really good right now, man. They got to keep riding this, and we will see what seed they finish, hopefully the 5th or 6th seed, but this is the Jimmy Butler effect, man. This is what happens when you pair him next to a guy like Steph Curry, and yeah, he's been a great fit. Great move by Mike Dunleavy, and let's see how this turns out the rest of the year. But yeah, just want to highlight that point, right? How in the world were 29 players drafted before Jimmy Butler in the 2011 draft? Like I said, still just wild to think about to this day. And I guess this video is sort of like a mini remake of what I did a few years ago, you know, making the what happened to, you know, all the players drafted before Jimmy Butler. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this little breakdown, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.